You're Beyond the Basement with Jim Jam, Johnny, and Yeti, where we talk about all kinds of crazy stuff. I'm Johnny, and I guess you can see all of our names if you're watching the video. We are doing video podcasts, so you can go up to YouTube and follow our YouTube page and see our ugly mugs and our cool new setup, actually, is what we're really trying to show off.
Looking fucking spectacular.
Hell yeah. Romero. Anyways, we are doing great. We went to Gatlinburg, me and Jim Jam did, and we got to a haunted house. It was a lot of fun. And we had a good time.
I believe so.
So we'll just move on into this. Yeti sent us an article that F-35 fighter jet crashes at Eglin Air Force Base days after F-22 crashes near base. What up with that, Yeti?
Well, it doesn't really give any explanation as to why these planes are falling out of the sky, but these are like two incredibly expensive fucking planes. The F-35A is this like a stealth jet, I believe, and then the other one is just like a really badass. It's the F-22 Raptor. So here's my thinking. In order to be a pilot of any kind in the military, you have to be like really well trained. You have to be an officer, before you can ever fly a plane. And then I would imagine before they put you in the cockpit of one of these, you got to be really fucking good at what you're doing. And within what, 4 or 5 days, 2 of these planes just fell out of the fucking sky, basically. The article from CBS News does say that they're quote unquote under investigation and that both pilots were able to eject and they're both in stable condition. So nobody was hurt. But okay, like the F-35, they're like dude, the program, the F-35 program, that's the Lightning II is what it's called, built by Lockheed Martin, soulless corporation that funnels all of our fucking money away. $428.4 billion at a unit cost of $79.2 million.
Damn.
Per plane, and that's the F-35 Lightning that crashed, and then the other ones are around about that F-22 Raptor. And we were looking at $67.3 billion in program cost, and that's as of 2010. I think they've gone on to develop new shit, but it's a $150 million jet. This is the F-22, and the F-35 is the one that really caught the headlines. I don't know. I feel like when they unveiled the Space Force flag, do you guys remember that shit?
Yeah.
It was super cool. And Trump had mentioned that they had a super duper bomb. And I believe that these planes are being taken out of the sky by experimental weaponry.
No.
Okay, if you're a military, like a weapons expert, right? And you're trying to explain to this old man who doesn't really understand the ins and outs of, artillery, I would imagine you'd be like, yeah, it's like it's like powerful, like a super bomb. It's like it's really powerful. So, then I don't know. He's talking about developing a new weapon. We've got a Space Force that's for like interplanetary protection or whatever, to protect our assets in space. And then we have these multi-million-dollar jets flown by experts just falling out of the fucking sky less than a week apart.
I don't. I don't know about that, Yeti. I think you're saying that we're using. Well, I wouldn't put it past the government to use a weapon against our own military vehicles. I mean, you got, I guess, equipment that's better than vehicles. It's not a fucking car, or it's not an SUV or whatever. But I mean, they would definitely have to test it on something.
Yeah, and if you're going to test something that's made for fighting advanced personnel carriers like UFOs or whatever, you're going to want to test it on the most advanced thing that we've got here on Earth.
But so you're saying that you believe that we've moved the technology forward from an actual explosive device to something else?
Some sort of energy weapon, yeah, because it's these they weren't being shot out of the sky; they're just fucking crashing.
Oh, like a small EMP.
Yeah,
like
a
or
focused,
concentrated, focus EMP to that one atom or that one thing. That'd be really hard.
Or even like a laser.
Yeah.
Because lasers aren't what they seem to be in sci-fi movies and shit. So it could be something like that. And I don't think they're maliciously trying to harm the pilots. These pilots are probably people who were part of a program who they're like, okay, Jack, I want you to fly this exercise above the base and the surrounding areas because the F-22 that crashed a little bit north of the actual base. So, okay, Jack, get in the plane, fly this exercise through this flight pattern, and we'll let you know when the strike is coming so you can prepare to eject. I don't know. That's what I believe. I don't believe that they would try to, they would do anything that would put an airman in danger.
Yeah.
But still, there's the need to test this new weaponry. And I believe, honestly, I think that's the best bet is to take these high-tech planes that are meant to skirt and evade everything that, we've got. You use those to test the new shit. And then you use that as a blueprint to what we need going forward.
Yeah, I mean, we do have we probably have the best technology as far as planes go, or jets, fighter jets. Did we talk about
Does China not have that?
They have one, but I don't think it's like we have one.
So you think it would be like someone like Wish products that don't work very well?
No, I mean, I imagine they got the technology, but they've stolen ours, I'm sure.
Hey, I'm gonna look on Wish and see if we can buy a fighter jet.
I'm sure somebody will sell you one. It'll be the 1/10 of a size, but they'll claim that it's fucking a real size one and charge you $1 million.
Do you remember the Harrier jump jet Pepsi points promotion thing?
No.
Where the guy had got all the Pepsi points and was like, I've got, X amount of points. You remember the Pepsi points? It was like Marlboro Miles, but for soda.
Yeah.
And there was a guy who's like, they had, fucking some astronomical amount of points to get a Harrier jump jet. And it was fake because obviously it was. But the guy kind of figured it out and he was like, well, I can buy these extra points and collect all the points that I can, and I'd still be coming out on top. So he ended up suing the Pepsi Corporation for not giving him his fucking Harrier.
Well, I mean, they offered it.
Yeah.
Unless they put it in
advertising.
Unless they put it in there, like this isn't actually part of it. That's obviously not real. This is a joke. Ha ha ha.
Yeah.
Damn.
Did we talk about Space Force last one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
When the flag come out and all that?
Yeah.
Okay.
And we talked about when the ad came out. That first ad.
Oh.
Yeah, I played the ad.
Yeah, that's right. I forget. Because I was going to say, we're going to have the special weapons up there, to protect against all the exploration. I guess China's going to send their mission to Mars here coming up sometime soon.
So is this going to be a space race again?
Well, I mean, we've already won that. I'm talking about they're going to send like a rover or something.
I mean,
to Mars.
a Mars race. How about that?
Yeah, we've already won that race because we're already there. So
How about a
Yeah.
human one though?
Like
Actually, a
a
human
I think
thing.
we're moving quicker, but I don't know that for a fact because we don't know what China's doing.
yeah.
I mean, they don't release exactly everything, but I'm not 100% sure if they have like an Elon Musk out there pioneering their shit or if it's all government, you know? Because Elon Musk, like they claim that, you know, he wants to terraform Mars and he needs like 10,000 missiles to blow up the ice caps and shit. But if it doesn't have a core and a magnetic field, it won't fucking matter. Like, I don't know how you're going to jumpstart a core.
So he wants to jumpstart the Mars core.
Well, he thinks that if he blows up the ice caps, then they'll vaporize, and then it'll cause a natural,
Like a water system.
yeah, and like an ozone may form, but something like that. But you still got to have a magnetic field to stop all the radiation from moving in.
Yeah.
You know, kind of like the issue like we talked on in the South Atlantic, where the magnetic field's weakening. They got a big spot of it from South America to Africa where it's like really weak right now. Like it's been weakening over the past decades. And
Is it really hot there?
I don't know. It's really messing up all the technology, like satellites and electronics that are in space around that area because you got to have the magnetic field to protect them from all the radiation. So it's really messing up like cell phone towers and cell phone like satellites and you know just
Yeah.
all that kind of wonderful stuff, GPS and all that.
Do you think that might be connected to the Russians stealing the magnetic North Pole?
Sure.
I mean,
Yeah.
you never know.
Yeah, they're sucking it from there and moving it. Now I think it's more or less that they claim, you know, the magnetic field's weakened by 10% in the last decades. It's been a while. We talked about that before where I mean it's science that there's gonna be a flip eventually. Well, it's got to get weak at certain spots for it to flip, you know, and we were all fucked on that one.
Yeah, it's coming.
Satellites will be falling down. It'll be apocalypse will happen.
Chaos.
Yeah, well, I mean, it'll be like apocalyptic or whatever you want to call it.
Dogs and cats living together, pandemonium.
Yeah, pandemonium. Said. Let's move into. Oh, geez.
That train says otherwise.
That
Yeah.
train is saying we're not.
And
moving.
Yeti, go.
Oh, real quick. Yeah.
Oh no, I was talking about singing that song, but never mind.
Real quick. There'll be an interview up with Jay Michaels from Terror TV. Should meant to throw that in there. Forgot. Be on the lookout for it. Be coming up a few days after this.
Yeah.
Sometime.
Really
She said
cool
that-
dude. Really cool.
Yeah, really
service.
cool. Really cool service. Yeah, get to know more about Terror TV. Check them out. It's only $3.99 a month. And go buy us some merch. Go buy our merch too while we're doing
Yeah.
some, promotional
Yeah.
stuff.
Should told me I had it pulled up, man.
Oh, well, sorry. He's mad at me because I didn't tell him. My bad. Too late. We don't have our new system up yet. But yeah, you definitely need to go check out this video if you're listening to this. And because we got a green screen and it's
You notice every now and then
Yeah.
Johnny will disappear.
I can't fully disappear on this one.
Yeah, even I was.
Yeah, but we're trying new stuff. We're expanding here.
Yeah.
We're expanding here. Let's talk UFOs though. The UFOs. So you know more about this the Brazil UFOs being spotted in Brazil, Yeti?
Yeah. So there was this massive sighting probably about a week ago. There were blue lights over a small village in Brazil. Maje. Mage. I don't know.
Yeah.
But
That's Mague.
I,
Mahe?
I believe they speak Portuguese in Brazil.
Yeah, so we have no clue. Yeah, they do.
And I know fuck all about Portuguese. So like, I apologize. I'm gonna butcher that word.
Yeah.
So they see lights, uh, and like apparently one comes down, and then the next day there's like an area that's cordoned off by the military and police and other government forces, and they hear explosions and gunshots behind this cordoned off area. It's like kind of in the forest. So, and then there was like a huge cover up of it. Like it was trending on Twitter, and then a lot of stuff started disappearing. And you'll barely see any of it when you search for it. Even in there's an article. Vice actually covered the sightings and then covered the fact that the r/UFOs on Reddit, there were moderators on there who had put in the auto mod settings to mark as spam anything that mentioned the Pentagon, the Navy, not the Air Force, the Navy. So the Pentagon, the Navy, and Brazil, and this sighting in particular, like they were censoring people. And then one of them went so far as to call the community stupid and really call it all a big hoax and everything. But like, I don't know. It's crazy to me. It feels like they're like disinformation agents have worked their way into positions of moderation on a worldwide UFO community, where they're wanting to shut down this in particular for some reason, and then anything about the Pentagon too, which is like a peripheral thing that's
and the moon,
kind of strange. In the moon, yeah.
Anything so with UFOs.
Yeah, all the hot topics right now in the ufology world, they have been like moderating out.
Yeah, which is it's weird because like it says the Navy released the video that everyone has already seen, that they finally released their version of it, I guess.
Yeah.
And then a couple weeks later, you start editing all that out. Like, and dude was writing code in there or putting, like, it's so weird that, well, like you said, they weaseled their way in, and then they're putting in there search words or whatever terms and the words you can't use and all that, and just getting everything taken down, which makes you know that it's real.
Yeah. That's how and that's always how it seems, is like you get somebody in there to try to censor, especially a new topic like this. It's kind of exciting because it seems like the story as it lays seems like there was some contact between, like a hostile contact between Brazilian authorities and whatever was coming out of the sky.
Yeah, and the governments around the world got together and was like, that was a big mistake.
Yeah, can we not talk about this anymore ever?
And Brazil fucked up.
Yeah.
Well, I wonder what the repercussions against Brazil will be by the world leaders in secrecy,
I wonder about the exopolitical, there we go, exopolitical ramifications of it, because if you look at deeper UFO lore, there have been treaties between a few weeks back on Beyond the Basement, we talked about the Gaeta Treaty between the American government and the Greys and stuff like that. So there are, if you get into that kind of thing, there's a lot of exopolitical stuff between Earth's world leaders and those in the Galactic Federation or whatever the fuck it is. So, I mean, maybe Brazil is going to be kind of interesting to watch. I don't know.
Yeah, because there's going to be a ramification or whatever of it, because you can't just attack the the aliens population here on Earth without something bad happening to you.
Yeah, you can't. It's
not going to be allowed.
No. I'm really interested to see where this story goes and how far private entities continue to go to censor it, to shut it down. Because like even Twitter and Google were at work trying to silence this thing.
Well, you know, they had to be told that from upper government officials, like, hey, no, can't have this out. There's something else underlying there. It could be a new weapon that was tried on Brazil that they don't. That maybe it wasn't aliens, maybe it was something else that's not wanting to be leaked by government officials from some other country.
Maybe.
I mean, the conspiracy theories can happen. They can be all over the place, you know.
Yeah, and we've seen in the past that the high sheriffs at Twitter are more than willing to bend to any kind of government control. For example, last year was a big anniversary of the Tiananmen Square incident. It's a big revolutionary thing from China. And before that date rolled around, Twitter banned a bunch of Chinese dissidents.
Oh yeah,
I wrote a little bit about that.
Yeah, I remember you talking about that or hearing about it or something. Yeah, because every one of these places are going to say, well, we don't want to spread misinformation. We're moderating out lies. You know what I'm saying? We're trying to stop misinformation. So that's the reasoning behind it all.
Yeah, and then in doing so, they become disinformation agents themselves.
Yeah, because, I mean, you technically can't prove that there's aliens. I mean, you can show stuff, but you can't prove it to everyone. You know, not everyone's going to believe you.
Yeah, and even if you did have proof, there are people who are so staunch in their non-belief that it wouldn't matter what you put in front of them.
They'd have to see it in person themselves.
Yeah, and they'd probably still call foul.
Yeah, well, that's some really good special effects. That's some, you know, like you can never show the video because they would never believe it. No matter how credible the people are, it just wouldn't be. They just wouldn't believe it, you know.
Yeah. And that's just the reality of things, man.
Definitely. What do you think, Jim Jam?
They should just let it out, let it be known. I think we can all handle it. Quit covering it up. What the fuck?
I think it's individuals we can handle it.
Yeah. As a society, I think, honestly, the way things go now, I think as a society we would forget within a few weeks. You know what I'm saying?
Well, this goes back to the ancient aliens and all that, you know. With what we know now, though, you got to think that they did forget, you know, in generations, because they just wrote it in books and then it was made into be something else.
Yeah.
So we would see aliens and then it would eventually evolve into something else.
I watched something on Travel Channel last night. Talked about how they didn't think that the pyramids were able to be built by humans back then because they didn't have cranes and all that. So I guess that goes with ancient aliens, right?
That is the claim on that is, and I think we hit on this one time. There's a frequency, and if you can hit that certain frequency, you can make stuff vibrate to an extent to where it'll float, or somewhere around there.
So you think the Egyptians figured it out?
Well, they had help to do it, and it's just like the carvings in the mountains. You know, I can't think of what that one is around Egypt, where they carved a city into the wall. You know, to the mountainsides.
Yeah.
And towers and stuff into it. The claim is that the angels worked on it at night, and men worked on it during the day. So it was a 24-hour moving cycle.
Yeah.
And I don't know, the pyramids really fascinate me. I've always been fascinated with it because they mean something else. I just don't find them as burial tombs. I think we made them into burial tombs after aliens might have left, but Just, I don't know.
There's some significance to them. I mean, it could, a lot of people will wave it off as, it's just a really good way to pile up a bunch of rocks and they won't fall over. But you see them in Egypt, you see them in South America.
Yeah.
I mean,
Step
it's something
pyramids.
yeah, it's you see them in different cultures in different parts of the world that probably didn't have any contact.
Yeah.
So maybe there's a in South America too. You also have the Nazca lines.
Yep.
These big long white, and they make giant shapes that can only be seen from way up in the air. And I mean, sure, it's possible that like artisans had figured out mathematically how to lay this out, but for who?
Yeah, and the one thing about that, like the alien highway. I don't know if y'all have heard about that, where all this stuff lines up. You know what I'm saying? Even is it South America where they have like one of the lines? I mean, you could land a ship on it. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just so long and so big. You could take off, you could land. If it wasn't one that just set down, you know what I mean? If it needed runway.
Yeah.
Because we don't know what all ships they had back in the day. We don't know. I mean, thousands and thousands of years ago, their technology has advanced as well. And they're moving at a faster pace than we are, I'd imagine.
By far.
Yeah, by far. But the pyramids line up, and they're in a line around the world, but that could be due to the way the sun rises, and the sets, and the whole, I don't know exactly everything all about that, but it's really interesting when you go down that wormhole of, even with oh gosh, what can I think of? The Stonehenge.
Yeah.
And the way that it lines up, with certain parts of the world and certain other structures of the world that were built in ancient times, as we would consider them. They're considered ancient to us. It's just really interesting. But I mean, they had lights back. We talked about this before. They had batteries that powered lights.
Yeah.
And they find them all the time. And it's just, how did they lose the technology? How was the technology lost? And it's just so weird, because the real thing is that it radiated energy. These pyramids or something. One of the statements, maybe it was a way to power a grid, to where a fuel system station, to where these aliens had power for their ships to get around. I don't know if that's true. Who knows? But all of them worship to a god, or to things that come out of the sky. And they seen them. It wasn't something that they didn't see.
Yeah.
Now with the pyramids, it's different, but they worship gods.
They did, and a lot of even the pyramid,
in Egypt,
the Egyptian cultures. That's something that you see over and over again. This synchronicity of, it's always a god from on high. You think about the I think it was the Greeks with Mount Olympus, and then the Norse with Asgard, and then of course modern like Abrahamic religions with the heavens. It's always something coming from above, some higher power from above. So
even with every one of them have in common that something come down and spoke to them, and they, in a lot of cases, they seen the angel, as they want to call it, or whatever, the god, and they had an interaction with them.
You think it was a gray?
It's hard to say, because they said that they looked like us, or they resembled, or it was a bright light. Because if they can manipulate your mind, and be inside you, which they might not have seen them, it could have all been telepathic, that they seen it and believed that it was real. And we don't know the technology that they have.
Yeah, no. And we don't know on which, because there's still a big debate, and I've brought this up 100 times before, between nuts and bolts UFOs, like they're actual physical craft that come to Earth to do whatever, and then the psychic experience
Yeah.
with the interdimensional travel, like Jacques Vallée talks a lot about, like anything, cryptids or aliens or whatever could just be this outside source vibrating with whatever's in your mind, you know.
Yeah, it's just something. I mean, and that's why everyone theorizes. Like, I watched that show, Ancient Aliens. I used to really like it, and then nothing comes out of it. They don't prove anything. They only theorize, which is what we do. Like, we don't have proof. We talk about it. I don't even know if we really theorize, but they act like they know. But then they don't tell you that there's no outcome to what they end with. And it's what it drives me a little nuts, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I like learning about it and hearing about it, but man, I'd like just an outcome of but you'll never find it because it's been lost and it's been meant to be lost. You know what I'm saying? Like, they don't want that stuff found for real.
Yeah, and if it is the truth of the matter that it was like an extraterrestrial involvement in these mega structures and things in the past, the only way we're going to get the truth of that is with deeper disclosure, and it'll have to come from those other bodies. It can't come from here because we don't know.
Yeah,
so
because
I think that
go ahead.
the only beings that still have that knowledge would be the beings that were involved, be they Greys or Dracos or Nords or whatever.
Well, it's like that guy down in Florida that built that one castle, and he did it all at night, and he claimed that he had found the technology to do it through the vibrations and moving rocks.
Oh yeah.
But he died with it. He didn't give it out. So I don't know.
I think he was full of shit.
He built a fucking castle with rocks he shouldn't have been able to move. I mean,
he had a crane come in,
but people didn't see a crane, and that's the problem.
They just want.
I wish I knew who he was and remembered his name, but I don't.
Oh, them people just want to be a part of something crazy. So
maybe, but it'd be a big cover up. But there's just no way. It'd be really hard for you to cut a perfect stone to fit to where there's no mortar, there's nothing's off. It's just completely smooth, and every joint connects perfectly. Yeah, and it's the same way in South America. The one where an earthquake destroyed it, the joints connected perfect. Like, there was nothing else that joined it in. It would just sit there, just from the cut of the stone. They cut it so smoothly with tools that they had. Just, I mean, I guess with time and labor, you could eventually get to that part, but it'd take a lot of fucking time.
Yeah, it would.
Because what was the Great Pyramid? What they say, 25 years it was built in?
Damn.
Like, it took 25 years to build that, and that's every day working. And you know how many slaves that is?
Whew. Well, actually, it's been shown that they weren't actual slaves; they were paid artisans.
Man, I don't know.
Because you're not going to trust slaves with that. I mean, there's records of
true.
the payments that they gave to the people who laid the stone and cut the stone. I mean, there's record of all that. I don't know.
One hell of a job to be moving that stone up the damn. It just seemed like you need somebody bigger to pull that damn rope. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Be a massive operation, even now.
Yeah. Oh, we wouldn't. I don't think we could do it now.
I don't think we could either. Not to the technical excellence that they had put together then.
Not with that amount of stone to build, because we would try to use cranes and this and that. It just didn't. You know, I don't know. I just don't think that we could. Well, we probably could, but it would take so much money and.
Yeah, you'd have to have a team that wouldn't want to take shortcuts and save money by fudging shit. You know, you'd have to. Because an expensive endeavor.
We're experts with metal and steel now. You know, this society and glass, and can build up. I just don't know. but which we did have great masonries, and I'm sure, or is that what they are? Masonry,
Masons.
Masons, yeah. Which we still do, around the world. Some, but a lot of the buildings and everything you see now aren't built in stone. Even the great churches that were built, cathedrals, over in Europe and around them in that area, that even like fucking in India and all that, just the pyramid, like the structures that were built are just, I don't know. It's mind boggling how they were built so long ago.
Yeah.
And with such precision. It's just, and it was lost for so long. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like when the Dark Ages happened or whatever, like, and you just lost everything.
Yeah, that era it destroyed a lot of knowledge, and it set us back as a population.
But you think it was meant? Okay, and that's where some people claim with the alien interaction, it was like, hey, they're not moving in the direction we want them to, or they're moving too fast, or they're something else, or you had a squabble between the two rival alien group, or the rival alien groups of the areas. I guess you could theorize on a lot of stuff,
Yeah.
It just, I don't know, it blows my mind when just thinking about it, like, just not blows it, but just mind-boggling, like, you're just like, man, what could it have been? How could it have happened? I don't know.
It's fucking crazy. Speaking of theories, you guys want to hear my latest theory?
Yeah, that's what I was that's what I was moving into there.
All right.
Oh, I'm disappearing. Oh, and he froze. Shit. He's done. You there? Yeah, you here? Okay.
All right.
Try again.
All right. Before I get into this, I want to lay this out. This isn't a political statement. This isn't a pro or anti anything. This is an observation of our world. Okay, I just want to put that out there so nobody gets all fucking triggered and angry in the comments. Here's my thesis statement. Donald Trump is the most powerful chaos magician the world has ever seen.
Hell yeah.
Okay, let me introduce you guys to a concept. I do want to plug my upcoming series. It got pushed back because I shot an episode and I completely fucking hated it and scrapped it. So we're going in a different angle. But so that's coming still. It's still coming. But I want to introduce you to a concept of nothing is true, everything is permitted. In chaos magic, you use whatever works for you, whatever magical system or model or whatever entity or anything, whatever works for you works. And that's the paramount. Personal experience is paramount over anything. Nothing is true, everything is permitted. You see this in, like, to quote fucking Kellyanne Conway from 2016, 2017, alternative facts. You see things being broadcast that are completely not based in reality, but they're taken as such because nothing is true and everything is permitted. Also, sigil magic. What you do in sigil magic is you lay your statement of intent. Okay? Say, I will get this job. Because magic is all about making changes in the universe in accordance with the magician's intent. So your statement of intent, no matter what magical model, no matter what system you're working in, your intent is the fucking cornerstone of your ritual, whatever your ritual may be. Now, with sigil magic, you take your statement of intent. I want to make America great again. Okay? So then you take that and there's one way you can do it. You can take all of your letters, you write it out, and you start canceling out letters so nothing repeats. Okay, then you take the letters that are left over, and you form them into some kind of graphic. I use runes. Also, you can put it into a nonsense chant that doesn't make any sense, but you can chant to yourself or with a group that echoes that statement of intent. MAGA, Make
Yeah.
America great again. I want to make America great again. Hashtag MAGA. MAGA means nothing until he comes along and he and his intelligence, his fucking campaign people put that out. Okay, so now this is a sigil. MAGA is a sigil. That hashtag, those hats, those shirts, those signs, these are all sigils. These are all in a giant pathworking of magical intent. When he gets up and you have the MAGA thing in front of him and he's moving his hands like he's a New Yorker. Yeah, he talks with his hands. I do it too. But you see the certain way he moves his hands, and it's almost like a magician who would be fucking into the working of a ritual. And that is why this complete underdog was able to come up and sweep America. A fucking billionaire with a populist grassroots message doesn't make any sense until you take into account that this is magic. And the best part about it to me is I don't think he knows. I think he has stumbled in to a position of heightened magical energy, especially from the White House, because if you look at the roadmaps of DC and stuff, I'm sure you guys have heard it. There's Masonic symbols, there's occult symbolism in the layout of DC and in the layout of the White House and the Capitol buildings, because there were Masons and Rosicrucians and other like occultists who were working within the government within that design. So you've built a place of energy, a place that focuses the subtle energies of the world, and then can then be controlled by someone who knows what they're doing, or someone who fucking stumbles into it and creates a sigil and creates a fucking 10-year-long path working to captivate the populace.
Yeah. It could be possible. I mean, from what people say, there's a lot of powerful individuals and leaders. Even Queen Elizabeth herself was really into magic. And a lot of these powerful people in nations that have stayed that way, the families that have stayed that way, were into magic. And that's why in all the religious books and everything else, it's magic bad. You go to hell. Because the powerful want to keep you from learning magic so that you can use it for good for yourself, to move yourself up in the world. If you stay down, they stay up.
Exactly, and that's why there's among occult circles, there's actually like a years-long smear campaign against chaos magic, because chaos magic, it represents the paradigm shift that takes the use of magic out of the hands of the elite and puts it into the everyday magician.
Yeah, and they don't want that. That's not what people are. People in power want, because if you do that, then we could all be successful.
Yeah, we could all use that too. And there's also like social controls that make you subconsciously feel as though you have no power to make change in the universe. You're just a cog in the machine and life is meaningless.
Yeah.
So once you begin to push back against those like social conditioning, you're beginning to work magic.
Yeah.
So they fucking hate it. And also you see it like you said in world leaders, is even as recently as like World War I era. I've been kind of getting into like Rasputin recently, and the Romanov family and stuff, and you see that like the Tsaress Alexa was very much into the occult. Mm-hmm. She always had some sort of occult advisor, and Rasputin ended up being the last one. But you see in like, as definitely in Europe, you see those people that always have that magician in court. Up until, in the grand scheme of things, up until recently, it's been the same in America. I mean, we had occultists. Our founding fathers were occultists.
Yeah.
Ben Franklin was a Rosicrucian and a fucking Freemason.
Yep.
I mean, those are secret societies, and all of his buddies were the same way. So it's hardwired into our system. Like magic is hardwired into our system, and it's also as you like study chaos magic, part of it is to open your mind to the magic that's in the world already. It's not so much learning magic, it's learning to accept that you live in a world that's full of it.
Well, just like where all them waiters meet, the wealthy guys meet in the middle of the woods to dance naked and do all that other shit. I mean,
yeah, and
even was it Yale that has
the Skull and Bones Society?
Yeah, like and it's so secretive that they don't want people to know what's in it, and which I don't know what's in it. Maybe it's magic, maybe it's not, but it's definitely a secret society of wealthy people that are using their knowledge to move people forward in life.
So at the very least, it's an occult society because it's a closed society with secret knowledge, and at the root of it, that's all the occult is secret knowledge.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's just like, to me, the pyramids and all that. It's just when you get really into it, it's just fascinating.
Yeah.
But you got to be accepted. But you got to be accept it, and not just push it away and be like, "Nah, that ain't real."
Yeah, nope. You can explain it away, or you can accept it, and you can learn to use it.
Yeah, I mean, because I used to not accept ghosts were real, but I mean,
now you do.
Maybe they are. I don't know.
I mean,
I'm not going to say that they're not real. How about that? How about I say that?
Yeah, there you go. And also, I mean, to go back to it, like, we've all experienced magic. Believe it or not, you've experienced the magic of this realm. How many have you ever like, oh, I need to fucking text Jim Jam and see what he's doing, and you grab your phone and he's hitting you up right then, something like that. You're like, oh, I need to call such and such, and your phone rings.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, to me, I accept it. I mean, we've had this conversation before. I accept it. Like, it's just something.
I always think that it's like, yeah, what the fuck ever. You wasn't trying to call me. That's what I always say or think.
Well, it's just like this morning. I was thinking of Jimmy. Like, well, I wonder how he's doing with his vehicle. But we're best friends, so it's kind of a little bit different. And then he calls me or messages me. I need
a ride, man.
Come pick me up.
They actually called in the middle of this podcast. I got to call them to get the bad news.
Yeah. Here's a fun story. This is off subject from what we're talking about, but it's still a fun story. We drive to Gatlinburg, which is fucking 3.5 hours away. It seems like 8.
Up mountains. And Jim Jam's car's his expedition is not that great. Not right now, anyways.
It's missing on a couple cylinders, and boy, howdy.
No air conditioner.
Oh, my arm burnt like a motherfucker. Burnt hours in a vehicle, arm hanging out. Sun coming in. Coming home, this motherfucker wants to start losing power. So it was about a 5-hour trip home, wasn't it?
Yeah, we stopped and ate and let it cool off, and it was no fun.
We're going up the mountain, to these back trails, Smoky Mountains, and it's like, it's just goddamn.
Yeah,
we shouldn't have done this. Nope. Oh man.
Yeah, never again. Next time we're renting a car to go if we drive that far.
Fucking hey, that's the move right there.
Yeti's like, well, y'all motherfuckers are stupid.
Just rent a minivan.
Yeah, man, it's stressful, dude.
Fuck, I bet.
Yeah, because just on the way home, it's real stressful.
It's like, fuck, am I going to get stuck here?
Yeah.
That's what I was worried about, being like almost 4 hours away and oh man, have to get that towed 4 hours.
But this motherfucker was like, maybe I could change the spark plugs here in Gatlinburg. And I'm like,
Yeah, I looked up a YouTube video. Nah,
and I was like, dude, fucking
no,
stupid.
it won't happen.
Change the spark plugs. And
Because, like an old car, man, most of them are just right there. But my car, you got to take shit off the top of the motor. Yeah,
fuck that. You want to thank our Patreons?
Yeah, let's thank Wes, Isaac, and Alex for being awesome. And, yeah.
Blowing up the Patreon, which you can do as well. Go hit it up. We got different tiers set up.
Yeah, you get early access, which this week is going to be kind of off because holiday and all that. We were out of town. But normally, yeah, we'll have early access and we'll do patron-only episodes, which we're going to be doing one of them soon-ish. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, we appreciate y'all.
Yeah, and make sure you go to TeePublic, check out our merch.
You get this awesome shirt.
Yeah.
Or what Yeti's wearing. This is just a plain gray shirt, but I'm going to add something onto it eventually.
Yeah, and go hit up teenhorror.com, check out some articles, and be on the lookout for Yeti's YouTube videos. The
Occult series.
Occult series, that's what I'm... Thank you,
Yeah.
Jim J. You got a name for that? Is it just the Occult series?
It's the Occult Corner with Yeti.
That's it.
First 10 episodes are going to be discussing chapter by chapter Phil Hines' introduction. It's Condensed Chaos, Introduction to Chaos Magic. And we'll go from there and see where we go. I'd like to do some more Phil Hine. He does a Pseudonomicon, which is pathworking based on the Cthulhu mythos, which is going to be super fun. Also, like the Book of Results, I'm going to get into some Madame Blavatsky stuff. Some old, ways to, some old early 1900s psychic power development stuff. It's going to be fun. We're going to have a good time.
Yeah, so definitely be on the look at that. And as always, like, share, and subscribe to this video. If you're listening to us and you're not watching the video, just share us with all your friends. Tweet us out. Hit it. Share it with us on Instagram and all your social media stuff, please. That helps out a whole lot. We need your help, and thank you so much.
Yeah, thank y'all.
Take care.
Y'all take care now.